Appreciate y'all supporting all the fine sponsors of this here podcast who let me do this show for you free twice a week, and that includes DraftKings. Did you know you can win some serious cash playing 1 week fantasy football at DraftKings.com, and that if you use my promo code STEVE, you can play for free with your first deposit? Playing 1 week fantasy football means you ain't stuck with the same lineup week after week. You don't have to troll the waiver wire at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning and look for a wide receiver because you forgot yours has a bye week. And you don't have to be a football expert to win instant cash playing at DraftKings either. DraftKings has beginner contests, and they also have 50-50 contests where the top half of all entries win money. It don't get any easier than that. At DraftKings.com/Steve, all you got to worry about is how you're going to spend all that cold, hard cash you win. And this is a good weekend to give DraftKings.com/Steve a try because they're hosting another huge fantasy contest with over $100,000 in total prizes up for grabs. So get to DraftKings.com now and choose your players for this weekend's contest. And if you use my promo code STEVE, you can play for free with your first deposit. That's promo code STEVE to play for free for your share of over $100,000 in total prizes this weekend. Only at DraftKings.com. Eligibility restrictions may apply. See website for details.
The following program is a podcast1.com production. From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I'm coming to you from the Broken Skull Ranch out here in South Texas. Sitting here at my dinner table with Ted Fowler at 361. Good morning, Ted. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, man, well, I'm feeling a little bit ragged. You know, we got a hell of a podcast going today. My guest is Sam Alvey, UFC fighter who came out to the Broken Skull Challenge. We watched him on television last night through 3 rounds of competition and sent everybody home, and then went to the Skull Buster and got to the rope burn, had to tap out. It was a valiant effort. So Sam Alvey is my guest today. I think you're going to enjoy the conversation I have with him. We're going to talk about his day at the Broken Skull Challenge. And the back half of the podcast, we're going to talk MMA. He's a UFC fighter. That's what he does. So I'll ask him some of his thoughts about UFC 205, his next endeavor, what he's doing for his training and how he eats, and just some MMA stuff because that stuff fascinates me. But before that, we'll just shoot the breeze a little bit with me and Teddy. Teddy's coming up on the podcast this coming Thursday, and I've been telling you guys that you're going to get a lot of Ted Fowler this year because it's deer season. We're out here in South Texas, but I got to reserve Ted for the Thursday show because we do a little bit better. We can use all the words in our vocabulary. Would that be a correct assessment, Teddy? Because it's hard to tell a deer story without cussing.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think when we can put a little more salt and pepper on our stories.
Salt, pepper, mustard, everything but your kitchen sink. And I tell you what, man, I'm going to give you just I had a little story happen this morning, and I can tell it on this podcast just for a warm-up. But, man, Hershey, the Wonder Dog, always likes to go to the deer stand with me, and she's starting to slow down a little bit. And, you know, I guess I'm starting to slow down a little bit. or I need to start slowing down a little bit. I've been feeling a little haggard since I got here. But I told Ted, I said, hey, we'll start off with a little whiskey. We'll get this Broken Skull IPA, and then we'll taper off. Did I not say that?
You did say that.
How you feeling at this point?
I'm ready to start tapering off.
I am too, dude. I got up this morning at 4 a.m. because Teddy and I were going to do a podcast over coffee, and then we were going to go hunt and do the back half of the podcast after our hunt to talk about what we saw. But this morning, to be over at Teddy's at 5, that means I need to start drinking coffee at 4. And I woke up at 4, and I went to bed early. I mean, right after Broken Skull Challenge, I texted Teddy, I ain't feeling too funny. I'll see you after the hunt. How funny were you feeling?
I was feeling funny, but not in a comical way.
Yeah, I'm sure when you got that text, you weren't going, oh, heck, he's not coming over.
I was over there doing my voice warm-ups. And then,
all those exercises you do. You see, that sounds so wrong just to go, oh, heck. You know there's a word I'd rather use than oh, heck.
Dude, I've known you how many years? I think that's the first time I've heard you say heck.
I don't like the word heck. I like the F model. I'll tell you what, so we were going to do that. But anyway, so I got up, and Hershey likes to go hunting with me. And so we got out of my mule. We drove up to a deer stand called Motel 6. And you know, Teddy, when you're in the brush, you just, you know, this brush country, but even in the pitch black, you just see shapes of stuff and silhouettes. And that's how you identify things that you know should be there and things that should not be there. Well, about 15 feet in front of us in the pitch black, and Hershey's walking right beside me, right from the deer stand. Just a shape that doesn't look right. And so I got my backpack, my rifle, my binoculars, and I pick up my binoculars. Pick up those binoculars to gather some light and get a little bit better visual, some intel on this thing. And I look, and I'm like, oh, you're kidding me, right? It's a goddamn skunk. And I'm thinking, all I need is for Hershey to think that thing's a rabbit, go chase it, get sprayed, and then I got to bring her ass back to the house where my wife is not going to be thrilled with me at all if Hershey, the wonder dog, gets sprayed by another skunk when she still smells like the skunk she got sprayed by last week. So, Hershey, stay. Hershey, stay. So the skunk scurries off, goes underneath the deer stand, and goes into the brush. So, okay, this is the part where I pick up Hershey, who's 85 pounds, and carry her up and put her in the deer stand so she can go to sleep. So I go up there, open the door, and I turn around after I go back down the stairs. I'm looking. Hershey's nowhere to be found. I'm thinking, oh, man, she bolted after the skunk. She's going to get sprayed, and I'm going to be in trouble. I was like, Hershey. I can only say Hershey so loud because I want to scare away everything in the pasture, and it's pitch black still. And I look, and she's right underneath the deer stand. I say, Hershey, get your ass over here. Because right underneath the deer stand, she might get on a rattlesnake. And if she got bit by a rattlesnake, my wife is going to kick my ass if she comes back smelling like a skunk or bit by a rattlesnake. She's in harm's way. So I pick her ass up. I say, God dang it, get up here. I put her in the deer stand, and she I'll lay my jacket down on the floor for her so she can go to sleep just like she always does. I get situated over in my corner, got my binoculars out, got my camera ready to video the deer that I'm going to see. And here comes Hershey. She wants to sit right in front of me because she wants to be petted. Normally, she always goes to sleep, but now she wants to be petted. And then she lays down like a big roadblock right in front of the deer stand. And so I push my chair back, and she's fine. And I see the skunk about 100 yards out through the brush, out into a clearing, and now daylight's starting to come. I'm starting to make out all these bucks and deer and stuff like that, but I can see that skunk with its tail stuck up in the air. And I was thinking, boy, if there weren't so many deer out in that field that I need to look at when the sun comes up, I sure would like to fire around over in the general direction that skunk to maybe scamper it off a little bit. You know what I'm saying, Ted?
Yeah, whistle one across his bow just to get him out of there.
If I'd have done that, I'd scared away my deer. But after that last skunk sprayed Hershey, 5-7 days ago, I mean, Teddy, when a skunk sprays your dog, your pride and joy, my best friend, my hunting partner for the last, man, me and Hershey been hunting together for 10 years. Then you made it personal. And when you make it personal, everybody knows the promos I cut when you mess with Hershey the Wonder Dog. I'm going to whoop your ass. So, skunk, if I see you again out there fiddle farting around, you going to smell 150 grain whistling by. Duck. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. Don't be spraying my damn dog no more. Teddy, was you hunting any good today? You been seeing any hogs? Because the hogs on the east fence line, there's some big-ass holes over there, and they're everywhere.
You know, this morning before it got to be first light, same thing, I could see a form out there in the field, picked up my binoculars and looked, and there is a single hog standing directly underneath the corn feeder. Like, you know, if he had a watch on, he'd be looking at it going, you know, this thing ought to be going off any moment here, kids. Come on. Yeah, and then that just screws up your whole hunt.
But he started digging a hole, right?
That was one yesterday morning.
But here's the thing. Over on the east fence line, there's 3 big-ass holes. One of them's about 18 inches deep. I ain't never seen a pig or a hog dig a hole. What are they using? Because the ground out here, and parts of it is like granite. That's how hard packed the dirt is. Are they clawing and scratching? Are they using their snout? What are they using?
That hog yesterday morning was after it with both front feet. I mean, digging like a dog. He was really going to town. And then he'd stop and he'd stick his head down in the hole and kind of root around a little bit, and then he'd go back to digging with his front feet. You know, so I think primarily that's what they use.
Okay, now when they're rooting around in the ground, were they digging for worms or what?
It's got to be that, you know, a worm or a grub or something like that, I would think.
Well, many things really irritate me, and every time I tell my wife, I said, you know what, we really need to thin these guys out a little bit. And he goes, well, they live here too. They're just pigs. Yeah, but when you're riding around in your buggy, your Kawasaki Mule, and you fall off of one of them holes, or you're in a tractor mowing the bank of that tank out there in front, and all of a sudden you fall off in a big hog waller, and you feel like the tractor's going to tip over and make you fall into the water pond, it's a real come-to-Jesus moment.
You know, I think that had a lot to do with why the front end of my buggy, needed to be repaired, because you're tooling along through the grass and you don't see those holes and you fall off in it. It'll really shake things up.
What do you think that caused that hole in the west fence line you just got finished repairing?
I think hogs pushing that fence up.
But then as soon as they get that fence pushed up, like that was pushed up about two and a half foot. That was one of the biggest holes I've ever seen in the fence. And then it's real irritating when you see deer start going through there because they see the opportunity.
Correct.
And hey, believe me, we're trying to keep our deer in here and the neighbor's deer out because we don't want their deer, because I know what we got. And we've been working at this 9 years, and from what I've seen so far, in just a few short days, we've been sitting in stands, and we're not taking anything yet. We're just looking to try to take inventory and get another count after we did that aerial survey from the helicopter. But man, there's been some awesome deer. What we do out here at the Broken Skull Ranch is every time we go hunting, we take video cameras with us and we video all of our deer. And so that way everybody gets a heads up on what's out there. I've been very disappointed in the performance of my wife, who thus far has not gone into a deer stand yet to video anything and help us. Now, my wife is not a hunter like Ted and myself are, but she loves to sit in a deer stand and watch. Kristen, do you think by chance, maybe before December 31st comes, you might go out in a deer stand at some point in the future?
Yeah, if you guys let me off the hook for dinner and cleaning.
If we let you off the hook for dinner and cleaning. First of all, remember, you love to cook. Didn't she say this last night, Ted?
She did say that.
Yeah, and cleaning, we all do our share of cleaning out here. That's what we work our asses off. We're like the three-person crew out here that keeps this place going. The wasps are there every year. We've been doing this 9 years. There's nothing that happens out here that you don't know about.
Yeah, they're really bad this year, though.
But the deer are really starting to move. Are you going to get your tail out there? Oh, you're going out tonight?
Yeah.
That's a statement. Okay, if she doesn't follow through on that statement, you're going to hear about it on the podcast that me and Teddy are going to do on Tuesday night. Teddy, I thought we'd uncork some deer stories. I got to go back a few days and make sure I remember all the ones that I wanted to talk about over a couple of adult beverages over at your place over there, and laid down an Unleashed podcast for Thursday. That's an invite to be on the show, Ted Fowler 361 on Twitter and Instagram. Teddy, are you going to accept my invitation, or just like my wife not going to a deer stand, reject the invitation?
No, I'll be on it. I won't be cooking and cleaning. I'll be on the show.
Well, if you're going to be cooking and cleaning, it's going to be a real crappy podcast. See, I hate to say the word crappy, because I'd like to use the SH version of that word, but we're rolling family friendly. That's why I reserve Teddy. Every now and then we'll do a family friendly show when I'm really in dire need of material, but I got it. He's my trump card. He's my ace in the hole for the Unleashed show. And on my Twitter account, everybody was saying, hey, man, we're ready for you and Ted to get together out there at the Broken Skull Ranch and tell some BS stories. Well, we got a lot of BS stories to throw at you.
They're piling up.
And they're piling up fast. But anyway, hey, Sam Alvey is my guest today. Don't forget Broken Skull Challenge, which Sam Alvey competed on just last Sunday night and did extremely well, but tapped out on the rope burn. You'll hear him talk about that here on the podcast. Broken Skull Challenge Season 4 is rolling on CMT every Sunday night at 10, 9 Central on CMT. And before I get into the next piece of business, I want to thank everybody in the UK, Ireland, Scotland, all those places over there who are watching the Broken Skull Challenge Season 1 or 2, whatever you guys are on. I've been talking about this show forever. And podcast is worldwide, but the Broken Skull Challenge was only in the United States. So now it's starting to go out all these places, and you people are finally hearing what I've been talking about, and the responses have been crazy. So thank you very much for supporting the show. I appreciate it very much, and I'm glad that you like it. It's a badass show. I just got some emails from people in Canada asking if they're ever going to get the show. I don't know. Email CMT or your cable or whatever satellite provider and ask them if they're ever going to play it over there. It's a hell of a show. I have fun filming it. and it's on here in the United States every Sunday night at 10, 9 Central on CMT. And a quick word of thanks here to one of the sponsors who makes it possible for me to do this for you free twice a week, Dollar Shave Club. I know y'all know about the amazing and affordable Dollar Shave Club razors that get delivered right to your front door every month. All you got to do is sign up at dollarshaveclub.com/Steve. But razors ain't the only thing you need in the bathroom. I know you need shower stuff too, and Dollar Shave Club knows it too. That's why they've come out with a new line of shower products called Wanderer. They got shampoo and body wash, and you won't smell like no perfume farm after you use it. The fragrances are unlike anything else you can buy. They're subtle and actually smell like real natural ingredients. The body wash is mint and cedarwood, so you won't smell like no teenager getting ready for his first date. You'll like the fresh, natural-smelling scent. Give it a try, and once you're in the club, you'll see. The Dollar Shave Club products work amazingly well, and their service is world-class. They ain't no long-term commitments, no hidden fees, and you can cancel whenever you want. And right now, they're giving away a 1-month trial of any of their razors for just $1 with free shipping. And after that, it's just a few bucks a month. Start your $1 trial today at dollarshaveclub.com/Steve. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Steve.
What do you believe? Would you have had the courage of Muhammad Ali to take on the government based on principle? Or could you find the resolve of Tommy Smith and John Carlos and raise your fist in defiance? Would you have been tough enough to hold your sisters down like Billie Jean King? I'm Chris Webber. Join me every Tuesday on my podcast, Fearless or Insane. We'll discuss sport, athletes, and their impact on society, politics, and culture. Download on Podcast One, podcastone.com, and iTunes.
The Steve Austin Show is brought to you in part by Great Clips. At Great Clips, they want you to love your haircut. That's why they created Clip Notes. Notes that tell them what you like, so you get your same great haircut every time, anywhere. With Clip Notes, no matter which stylist cuts your hair, you'll get the haircut you want. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Steve Austin, Unleashed.
All right, here we go. I'm sitting here talking to Smiling Sam Alvey, UFC fighter. Just came out to the Broken Skull Challenge. He's over in Temecula, California. I'm out here in South Texas at the Broken Skull Ranch. Sam, good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, sir. Thanks for calling.
Hey, man, Broken Skull Challenge was on last night. You were one of the participants. Did you get a chance to watch the show?
Yeah, I watched every minute. We had a little party out here. I live tweeted during the whole thing, too, so it was a lot of fun. Got a real good reception from my end.
So how was the party? I mean, people didn't know what was going to happen, so what did they think about the results? What did they think about how you did as the 3 rounds kept progressing?
You know, it was kind of funny. After every round, everyone would cheer. So, yeah, Sam, you're the greatest thing ever. And then I failed to climb a rope at the end. I'm going to be hearing about that for a while.
Yeah, because you're no stranger to ropes.
None at all.
Hey, but let's shoot the breeze here for a second, because I think most of the people that listen to my show know that I'm a huge MMA fan. So to have a guy of your caliber come out there to the Broken Skull Challenge and compete was just wonderful for us. And you and me hit it off pretty much right off the bat. As you know, I treat everybody the same. But I think it was right before we was about to go into the first round of ripoff. And, you know, normally people are kind of, wondering about the task at hand. And I believe it was you that said, Steve, what is wrong with your elbow?
Yeah, that was me. We were just about to do it, and my God, you had like a softball popping out of there.
Man, I just saw it on television last night. I knew it was going to look like crap, and this is my family-friendly show, and it did. But nonetheless, I still had that water on my fluid. I got that drained a few weeks later after the show, and now it's refilled back with fluid, so it's kind of almost back the way it was. But nonetheless, I'm okay. Me being such a big MMA fan, were you a fan of the show? How did you even hear about the show?
Yeah, I had seen the show a couple times before, and it was always fun to watch. But when it came time to apply, I was actually, fight week. It was fight week. I was in South Dakota about to fight Eric Spicely, and I was just playing around on Facebook, and I saw an app saying, apply now. So I applied, and, I'm kind of dehydrated and hungry all week, so I didn't apply all that well. I just wrote, I fight in the UFC for, like, every answer that it was asking me. I'm a UFC fighter. I've been on TV. I was on stuff like that. And I wasn't expecting them to get back to me, but they got back to me pretty quick, and we set it up. And then I actually did the show 2 days after I fought Kevin Casey.
How did you feel coming into the Broken Skull Challenge? Did all the depletion and all the training take it out of you?
Yeah, I was tired. I did the broken skull. I had a broken foot, dislocated thumb, and I turned 30 this year. I had hemorrhoids. I've never had hemorrhoids in my entire life, and I woke up like the morning of after my fight. It's like, what the hell? The heck?
You can say hell. It's a family-friendly show. You can say hell, though. Hey, so how was the casting process for you? I mean, was this the first type of thing like this you've done, or you just do all these things just at random?
I do as many as I can. You know, a few years ago I was on The Ultimate Fighter, but it was a whole different casting process for that. Here for Broken Skull, I had to do a lot of Skype interviews. I talked to 4 or 5 different people. I made some videos for them after they got back to me, and it was fun. It was fun even getting to know the cast a little bit of the show.
I mean, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that people never see. And then that being said, you know, like every time before we start a competition, you know, I'll get all the competitors together, always round everybody up and say, hey, man, this is going to be a long-ass day. The show lasts for 60 minutes, but you're out here, as long as you stay out here and you keep winning, it's going to be an all-day process. And it turns out that's what it was for you. How was the process for you? Because I tell everybody, hey, stay hydrated. If you need sunblock, use it. If you need a bathroom, ask for it. How was just that part of being out there? I know you make your living in Temecula, California, but you're out there in the hot desert sun, standing around. How was that for you? Enjoyable? Just strenuous or taxing? What?
You know, enjoyable isn't the word. You know, that I was getting to do it was kind of enjoyable, but it was hot. I mean, it was 114 degrees in the shade, and there wasn't much shade. And it was a long day. It was a dirty day. But you know what? Especially for me, it was worth it. Got to hang out all day and put on some good performances. So it was a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be going into it.
So were you a ball of nerves going into this thing? Because you got 3 rounds of head-to-head competition, and as duly noted, you are a UFC fighter. You fight for a living, so I'm sure no one intimidates you. But what were you thinking when I did the drive up, and you guys are doing your warm-up shots, you're kind of grouped together, and then here I come rolling up on a Ram Charger? What's going through your mind?
You know, at that time, I was sizing everybody up. When I did the interviews, I wasn't fighting, so I was a little bit heavier. And they asked, "Well, what are you gonna be?" And I said, "I'm probably about 220." Well, I wasn't expecting it to be 2 days after my fight, so I was sitting at around 200, 203, something like that. So as soon as I saw who all was there, everyone was a little bit taller than me. Everyone was a little bit thicker than me. So I was really just sizing everybody up.
So were you wondering, like, hey, man, I wonder what the 3 challenges are going to be? Because, you know, you never know until I say, hey, this is what the challenge is going to be. Did you have some favorites that you wanted to participate in?
Not so much that I wanted to do, but what I didn't want to do, there's the trench one with the water.
Yep.
I didn't want to do that after seeing everybody. I didn't want to get wet so early in the day, so I was very thankful that didn't happen.
Okay, what were your thoughts when you found out the first challenge was going to be rip-off?
I thought it was made for me almost. I mean, that's essentially what I do every day for a living. Is I roll around and I try and beat the other guy. So that was I felt a great advantage for me.
There was a contestant there that had a very vast jiu-jitsu background who didn't do so well against a guy who was just a well-rounded athlete, and he went to his back, and the other guy went to work on him. Do you remember that match? I mean, obviously you watched the show, so, I mean, what were your thoughts? I mean, with a guy with that deep of a jiu-jitsu background being sent home quite readily?
Yeah, he and we talked a little bit before because, you know, he's a martial artist as well, and so he had known who I was a little bit, and so we were talking all morning, and I almost wanted to corner him, you know, because I corner all my teammates and everything here at the gym.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to jump in and say, no, do this, do that, but he started playing for guard and you know, pulling guard, wrapping your legs, and I thought it was just the wrong strategy for that. You want to be on top. You start wrapping guard, you just put those bands in the other guy's reach. So it was, you know, I was glad I didn't have to go with him first. But I think I probably would have had the same result seeing what his strategy was.
You were, I think you were the third one to go. Did you watch, and I tell this to everybody, if you get a chance to not be first, you get a chance to scout either the event or a future opponent. Did you watch the first two matches before you and say, hey, man, I was thinking about doing this, but it looks like this might be a better technique or strategy?
Not for the first one, but for the second event we did, that one I was happy I got to go second on.
Okay, so you went against Chris, and you won that match, fairly quickly. And so then let's talk about the second round and going into trucked up, because those first two guys that went, boy, they took off just like a shot, and they both hit the end of that damn rope on trucked up, and you've got a 1,700-pound truck and 4 barrels, and they both got jerked back to their asses. I noticed that when you started, you took off a little bit more gingerly so you didn't hit that big impact and get jerked off your feet.
Yeah, and that was thankfully because I went second. My opponent in that one, he still took off and got knocked back. But after watching the first two go, there was no reason for it. And the big boy, what was it, the one who won? He almost looked like he hurt his leg in that. So went a little slower, and then as soon as I dug in, I started just going balls to the walls, trying to drag that truck in those barrels. And
really, with Caleb's background, that's kind of what he does. I thought maybe he's going to have an advantage of this. And, man, you just put your head down. Once you got all the slack out of that rope, started dragging that truck and the barrels down there. Tell me about that process, because, once you're pulling heavy weight, you're out there in a hot California desert sun, and then you get the friction of those barrels dragging against the earth. By the time you got about 15 feet from that bell, how were you feeling? Were we in your lungs yet?
I felt good throughout that whole thing. I didn't get tired. My arms still felt good. I just one foot in front of the other, one hand in front of the other, and kept going. And once I saw him start fading off a little bit, I started breathing a little easier even.
Okay, hey man, let's talk about round 3, because we got the crates, and then you're going to move into the pit. And it was Smiling Sam versus DeFonte. And man, I tell you what, DeFonte, as you said, looked like he's built out of granite. What were you thinking? Just, sitting there talking before we started doing business and going into the crate and to the pit, because this guy came from a football background, but he was an athletic specimen for sure.
Yeah, honestly, when you said the crates reached 600 pounds, I kind of thought you were exaggerating. I said, they're not going to. They were every bit that heavy.
Dude.
As soon as I started lifting, I was like, oh, my God. And so my strategy kind of changed. I thought, okay, I don't have to be first. I'm not going to be able to lift this crate faster than he will. I can just get to the thing within a minute. And then I started going faster than him. I said, ooh, this is kind of nice. So I finished as fast as I could. So I could breathe a little bit before I got into the circle, into the octagon. But again, once I got into that octagon, it was essentially what I do every day. I look for my underhooks, try and get control. If he starts tugging on the shirt a little bit, pull guard, because in here he wasn't trying to grab anything. If I could just pull guard, I could have done him a little bit. And that ended up working out pretty well for me.
But you guys, you went to the ground, and then you both stood up, and then, boy, he kind of just bull rushed you. Y'all met with impact, and then y'all spun around, and then he was starting to, get under you, and you were maybe going to tip out of the pit, but you decided to drop down, and right when you did, your head was right on the edge of those sandbags. So I thought it was a smart play, because I thought that was intentional of you dropping down so that he wasn't going to be able to muscle you out, and you were able to use technique on him.
Yeah, I got back home. I started bragging to my jiu-jitsu coach. I said, yeah, you should have seen it. I got the underhook. I hooked the leg. I swept him. It was pretty cool. So, yeah, it really was. He was a big, strong dude. And he was pushing hard, so I had to find a way to get down and get back on top.
At one point, he had you on the other side of the pit. He was just trying to grab your leg, your foot, and just try to tap the sand with it, and you was able to stay out of harm's way there. It pushed back to the center. At any point, what's going through your mind at a time like that, Sam? Because so many people come out there. I get some amazing CrossFitters and people that are just incredible, well-rounded athletes, but all of a sudden you get them in a pit, and it's a wrestling match or whatever you want to call it. And, the center of that pit is safety. And so you want to stay away from the edge, or you want to maintain a low center of gravity. What Devontae had working for him was just pure power and strength. And you were able to use technique and your strategy because, again, to your point, that's what you do every day.
Cage awareness is we practice in the cage a lot, so we know how to play with the cage. And I kind of knew where the circle was. I knew what the rules were, and it was kind of along the same principle. Don't touch it. don't get outside of that cage, outside of that pit. And it worked pretty well again.
He was extremely gassed after that match because those things get edited down a little bit, but that really took a toll on him. After you went through 3 rounds of competition, you went through the pit, you sent Devontae home. Obviously, did you expect to win? Did you expect to be the last man standing?
I did. I kept saying it all day long. I expect to get my hand raised. It's what I'm used to. I've got a big winning record because of it. Every competition I go into, it's with that intent to win. And I did, and that was everything I did. It was nice at how much of my everyday life, translated into flipping crates.
Hey, but in going back to those crates, like you said, you thought I was exaggerating. No, those crates are every bit of 600 pounds. I believe the women's are 400 pounds. And when you start flipping those things end over end, it's a gut buster. And it's a come to Jesus meeting because picking up those crates ain't no easy feat. But after the day was over, you probably had an adrenaline spike. But when you got back to your hotel, how were you feeling just from being out in that sun all day and then going through the 3 rounds of challenges, and how long the day actually lasted? Because they get you guys up damn near before sunrise and start getting you ready.
Yeah, I was tired. It really was a long day. That sun, and shoot, I'm a ginger, so that sun's a little harder on me than most people.
I remember you telling everybody you're a ginger, but I always tell everybody I'm an albino. I've got like 6 coats of 50 block on, so I'm right there with you. And, after, yelling and screaming and trying to motivate people for about 4 weeks, man, I'm pretty much fried and ready to go back to, getting underneath some structure and getting out of the damn sun.
Yeah, I was very happy to be back in my hotel bed, even if it was just for half a night.
All right, got to thank another fine sponsor of the Steve Austin podcast, who's making it pretty dang comfortable to sit in front of this mic and record it twice a week and open up 2 cans of audio whoop-ass for you. MeUndies. Yep, I said it, MeUndies. They sent me a truckload of their camouflage MeUndies, the ones that are made out of the modal fabric, which is 3 times softer than cotton. And they ain't lying. These are about the softest, most comfortable underwear I've ever worn. So now I can sit here down at the Broken Skull Ranch in comfort while I podcast and while I sit in the deer stand. So for the price of about 2 cocktails, you can have MeUndies delivered right to your front door. And you can experience exactly what I'm experiencing. And MeUndies offers free shipping in the U.S. and Canada. Swig of water for free shipping. And if these ain't the most comfortable, best-feeling underwear you've ever worn, MeUndies will refund your money and let you keep your first pair for free. But I'm telling you, you ain't going to return these. And that's why, for a limited time, my listeners also get this great deal. 20% off your first order when you go to MeUndies.com/Steve Austin. Did you get that? MeUndies.com/Steve Austin and get 20% off your first order and free shipping in the U.S. and Canada. One more time for the hearing impaired, MeUndies.com/Steve Austin.
Steve Austin. Unleashed.
So I told you that the Skullbuster was going to be an extremely tough challenge, and you came here to face a Skullbuster. Did you think about it that night? Did you try to strategize? You knew I was going to make some changes to the course, but you could see bits and pieces of it. Did you sleep well, or what? How did you prepare for that Skullbuster?
Honestly, I ate a big dinner and I went to bed. My wife can attest. I have no problem sleeping. When I hit the pillow, I'm out. So I slept real well, and that was kind of my strategy: just rest, relax a little bit. At this point, I've been working pretty hard for the last 2 weeks because of the fight and everything, and it was nice to finally just lay down and relax for a night.
Hey, coming down that ridge, and you're about to run the Skullbuster. What were you feeling? Anxious, excited, ready, nervous?
When I met the champion and you guys told me what his time was, I'm not gonna lie, my first thought was, by God, I don't know if I could run this thing that fast, let alone do all the obstacles and everything. So my strategy did change a little bit once he told me how fast he did it in, and it was really more of I want to complete it. I don't want to not complete it. So the first obstacle, they didn't show it last night, but I stepped down off of the first obstacle because I didn't want to fall that early. I got my feet backwards a little bit, and it was more difficult. Or maybe it wasn't the first. The first was the mud. It was the second, the dome, where you're climbing through the dome.
Right.
I stepped down off it because I really didn't want to fall that early in the race. And it was at that point where I said that there's no way I'm going to beat his time, but I can't embarrass myself. I'm a UFC fighter. That's what I do. And so I readjusted, and I just pushed through as best I could. The 45-degree incline, I felt like I started with a real good pace. Towards the top of it, I slowed down a bit.
No, you had a good pace on that Skullbuster, but let's start off at the top and start off with the backbreaker. That's a 75-pound log down a quarter-mile road. And this is an obstacle course, and you're an MMA fighter. So, man, the way it's kind of shifted, we started off with a whole lot of CrossFitters, a lot of Spartan racers, some Tough Mudders, and all of a sudden these OCR racers start coming out here. And I've got some people that just are premier CrossFit athletes, and all of a sudden they get out on an obstacle course and they don't know how to pace themselves. What were you thinking with respect to pace? You know, like you said, you hear the time, 6:33, and the task at hand, half-mile course with 10 grueling obstacles, you know, and you pick up that 75-pound log in kind of an unorthodox fashion, and then you throw it over your shoulder. So all of a sudden, let's just say you're 50 yards down that hill carrying that 75-pound log. What's going through your mind?
Just keep going. Just keep going. He said, if you slow down, it'll happen later in the course. Start off fast, finish fast. It's the middle part that you can cruise a little bit with.
Okay, mud bath. You made the swing. You landed on the post. You regathered yourself, grabbed a second rope, swung across, and then you came to the dome. And you could hear audibly you say, "Damn." Because you can see the structure, but you get a chance to walk around the structure before you run it, but you don't get a chance to really see, feel, or touch anything. You can just get a chance to observe it. Once you get in there, you have to navigate a path, make decisions, and you think, hey, let me go immediately up. Well, you can't really go up. You got to go sideways. So how was the totality of that dome on you?
The dome was rough. It was probably one of the harder obstacles. And watching a couple other people do it afterwards, maybe I just made it hard on myself because a couple of those people seemed to just knew exactly what they were doing. But yeah, it was rough. Like I said, I started off and I got my feet backwards and I couldn't switch them on the wall, so I had to step off. But once I figured out where everything should go, I just just a matter of climbing up and not letting go.
Okay, the pyramid is a 30-foot tall structure, 30-degree angles, military-grade cargo, netting. You come up and over that, and then you get to the Nutcracker. And while I'm watching you run this Nutcracker, you go up at ascending post, and you make a save on the first go. But I'm telling you, I'm watching you do this first pass on the Nutcracker, and you look like you're starting to gas.
It hurt some. Like I said, I had broken my foot a few days earlier in the fight. A lot of that stuff was making my foot real uneasy because you have to be on your toe or your heel or the side of your foot. It kept rattling my foot every step I took. That one more than most, and so it took a second for me to ignore the pain.
Well, and stepping or jumping from post to post, again, there's that impact on the foot. And in that one part, I thought it showed a great display of core strength when you're kind of strung out and you was able to right yourself. And then all of a sudden, you do the articulating arm. You're going up the articulating arm, and before you can jump, bam, a hard landing, and it's a restart element. What were your thoughts when you'd done all that work, moved the articulating arm, and then missed the landing?
Oh, I was pissed. Yeah, it was like, oh, my God. But, I ran back as fast as I could. I wasn't going to waste any more time. And I kind of thought, God, I hope that looked cool at least. But, yeah, second time round went a little faster. I thought I got the groove a little bit and went a little faster getting to the end.
Well, and again, sometimes when you watch these people, and I've been out there so many times, when people with great balance or not great balance, when they try to go too slow, that's kind of when things don't go so well. But the second time you attacked it, and man, you just breezed right through it. I mean, obviously the handrails were a little bit tough, your triceps were a little bit gassed, but when you attack that thing, it seems like things go a little bit better.
Yeah, and that's, after watching, I didn't realize it as I did it, but watching it when I did, that was definitely the case.
Okay, lightning bolt, basically, is just monkey bars. How was your grip strength at that point?
I still felt good at that point. That one, I was never really worried about that one. I do enough pull-ups and stuff on pull-up bars that I didn't think that one would be that big of an issue.
Okay, pushovers. We've got the monster-sized walls, and this is kind of like a version of the crate, but they're like big dominoes. It's almost like making dominoes fall, but those walls are a lot heavier than you would think they would be. How was that? You have to push them down, run over the top of them.
Yeah, it was exactly that. It was far heavier than I thought it should be. I started pushing, and it's like, I'm really gonna have to dig in for this. And then we have to go over them instead of around them. Yeah. And that was kind of just like kicking the groin. It's like, oh man, you don't really have to, but the rules say you have to. It's like, But yeah, getting through those, it was that's where I started getting tired.
Okay, pushovers when you start getting tired, and then right there when you want to start using your lungs and putting some air into your body, you got to go into the deep freeze, and that means you got to hold your breath while you swim underneath 10 foot of fencing hanging over the surface of the water. When you jumped into deep freeze, was that at least refreshing from a standpoint of, hey, I'm not so hot anymore, but now I've got to take a big breath of air before I go underneath that fence? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, it actually felt kind of good after it being so miserably hot for the last hour. It was nice jumping in there. But what caught me off guard, I mean, I knew I was going to be wet, but it was everything sticks to your shoes afterwards. And that's kind of what I blamed the rope on.
Okay, but you had to go up Heartbreak Hill first, and I believe we got a Christ Almighty out of you on that one. So obviously you were thinking Christ Almighty.
Yeah, that was right when I said that. That's right when I think my pace changed from a good pace to just get me up this damn hill.
Hey, we came finally to the rope burn, and man, you said you're looking for a challenge. You wanted to beat the Skullbuster and then go for the time. You really surprised me. You kind of shook it off a little bit, and like you said, to your point, everything's wet. And man, you started arming that rope. And I'm thinking, man, this guy's going to have some incredible arm strength. Once you got hung up, you're probably about 6 feet from that bell. And I've seen so many people in that position where they can't pull anymore with those arms. And all of a sudden, the grip can only be so strong for so long, and they slide back down. What were you thinking when you had to hit the stop button and you were just hanging there?
I just kept, it's on camera. Just suck it up, Sally. Get up there. And I just couldn't do it. My grip started failing. My shoes, I should have kicked my shoes off is what I think I should have done. But it was just, it hurt. And I slid back down, and they didn't, they little bit of editing in the show. Where I sat down for a good 5 minutes just trying to catch my breath, trying to relax. And on my second attempt, I jumped up for half a second, and I knew it wasn't going to happen.
So, because you're an MMA fighter, I said, Sam, are you tapping out?
Just had to rub the salt in the wound, didn't you?
I just had to make it applicable to what you do. So you tapped out, but you climb ropes in training, correct?
I do all the time. Yeah, usually the warm up and a cool down. I'm always climbing ropes.
Hey, so sum up your experience at the Broken Skull Ranch. Did you have a good time? Did you learn anything about yourself? How was the experience?
It was a great time. I mean, it was fun to see how my sport, my profession, really translates into other athletic things. I know I'll never be a basketball player, but you know what? After doing this course, I think maybe I could do some more of that obstacle course, Spartan race kind of stuff.
Hey, man, but I got to give you a lot of credit. I mean, for coming in just a few days after a fight with everything that you had to go through for that fight, and then have the broke foot or the damaged foot to go through 3 rounds of competition and beat the Skullbuster. I think that speaks volumes to your competitive nature and your talent.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's just part of what I do every day. You know, I always joke with the MMA fighters. We never get any of our injuries looked at. We just wait till we something else so we can forget about the first one. And that was kind of it. I still haven't had my foot looked at because I got home from the Skullbuster and I got another call for a fight, a month later. So I never got the foot looked at. I just ignored it for a while, and now I'm working on getting it healed.
Did you have any of your MMA friends or cohorts reach out to you and say they saw you, or they're too busy watching MMA?
No, I had a bunch of them. My Twitter erupted last night. I got, 100 or 200 tweets from different UFC guys or Bellator guys. And again, they all loved me until I couldn't climb a rope.
Hey, I'm talking to Smiling Sam Alvey. I'm going to take a break right now and come back with Sam if he's got time and talk just a little bit of MMA. Sam, you got time?
I sure do.
Okay, got to give big ups to Diamond Dallas Page and his DDP Yoga. I know I've been talking about DDP Yoga pretty much since I started this podcast, and it's because it's changed the lives of so many people, from disabled vet Arthur Borman to Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall, and y'all know how many other pro wrestlers do DDPY too. RVD, AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, and even Mick Foley got on a DDPY program this year, and he's in just about the best shape of his life thanks to Dallas's program. And if you're thinking about taking control of your own health and fitness going into the new year, now's the perfect time. DDPY has their biggest sale ever going on right now. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin and take advantage of 25% off all DDPY swag and merch. I'm talking 25% off DDPY hats, mats, heart rate monitors, T-shirts, and autographs. And, of course, you can get 25% off the DDP Yoga DVDs. And same deal there, too. When you buy the DDP Yoga DVDs, you'll also get 3 free months of the DDP Yoga Now app. And y'all know how great this app is. You can do DDP Yoga wherever you are, whenever you want, with the app. Just access the workouts on your phone or tablet. So take advantage of Diamond Dallas Page's holiday spirit. He loves Christmas. Dallas loves Christmas, and that's why he's offering this crazy 25% off deal on anything DDPY related at ddpyoga.com/Austin. So, like I said, now is the time to get started. Go to ddpyoga.com/Austin and take advantage of 25% off the DDPY DVDs. And get 3 free months of the DDP Yoga Now app. That's ddpyoga.com/Austin. ddpyoga.com/Austin. Hey, folks, change your life today. All right, here we go. Talking to Smiling Sam Alvey, UFC fighter. Came out to the Broken Skull Challenge. Sent 7 men home, got on the Skullbuster, and tapped out on the rope burn. But in his defense, right after a hell of a fight and right after damaging his foot. Let's shift gears and talk about your world where you can bring me up to speed. I'm just a fan. You said you signed on for another fight. Is this fight, has this already happened, or is this something that's going to happen now real soon?
It happened already. I signed up. I was supposed to fight over in Manila, over in the Philippines. And the whole card got scrapped, so I got pushed back to Mexico City. So I fought about 3 weeks ago now.
Oh, so how'd that one turn out?
I won. Yeah, I'm on a little 3-fight tear right now. It was a good fight. The elevation got to me a little bit because Mexico City's up at it's about a half a mile higher than Denver, or mile higher than Denver. So the elevation got to me a little bit, but it was a good fight, and I got my hand raised again.
Hey, were you able to go up there before time and acclimate?
No, the fight, like I was supposed to fight in Manila. Manila got canceled, and my fight got pushed back like 3 weeks. So I didn't have time to do any of that. I did go up to Big Bear a little bit here in California, which is about as high as Denver. I got to go up there and just find out how uncomfortable I was going to be. And so that helped a little bit.
Hey, man, if I'm not mistaken, Fabricio Verdum fought Cain Velasquez in Mexico City, a year, 2 years ago now? Maybe 3 years.
Yep, and that's everybody kept telling me that. I said, "Hey, you got to get ready the altitude."
But Fabricio went up there, like, I think almost 2 months early, and Kane went only maybe 2 weeks early. And, man, I'm sure you saw that fight. And Kane's one of my favorite. Well, both guys, I'm just a big fan. But I'll tell you, Kane's known for his cardio, and it just seemed like that extra few weeks of acclimating for Fabricio really made a big difference in that fight. Maybe it had been fighting at sea level, it would have been the same outcome, but Kane just didn't seem to be as dangerous as he normally was.
Yeah, and there's a whole science behind the altitude training. Like, if you go up there 2 weeks, it does nothing for you. It's more you've got to be up there. I think it's 90 to 120 days beforehand to have your lungs acclimate a little bit. Or to start, it has something to do with your blood, hemoglobin, and all that.
Right.
So again, when I got pushed to Mexico, I didn't have time to do any of that, to make any plans. So as I just started training to be uncomfortable. So the altitude masks, they don't do a ton to simulate it, but they do make you very uncomfortable. So I did a lot of altitude mask training.
What
and
is
then,
the altitude mask? Is that just restricted breathing? Because
yes.
if you put this thing in your mouth, you don't have it's not like if I'm going to run a sprint, I can use my whole mouth to breathe, but then they restrict the breathing hole to simulate altitude.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It's essentially what it does, but it doesn't change the way your body absorbs oxygen, which is what you want to do by going to the altitude.
Right.
It just makes you really uncomfortable while you're training, and so that kind of. So we talked to the coaches. My strength and conditioning coaches. They told me everything that I could do, and they said just make yourself as miserable as you can for the next 3 weeks, and hopefully it'll show up in the fight.
So what do you do? I know you're doing a lot of sparring and stuff like that, Sam. But and training up for a big fight, it's just at sea level. Forget altitude. What is the best thing, cardio wise, for MMA other than in fact sparring?
Yeah, the sparring and a lot of rolling, that is the best thing. But I love doing circuit training. We do a lot of, I fight 5-minute rounds. I'll do 5 different exercises. 1 minute an exercise with a minute off. I'll try and simulate the fight as best I can. And if it's a guy who's real strong in the upper body, I'll do more upper body cardio. If it's a guy who's going to kick a lot, or if I expect I need to kick a lot, I'll do a lot more kicking drills as far with that circuit training. But the circuit training is really where it's at least for me.
I talked to a lot of the CrossFit athletes come out there, Tommy Hackenbrook and some of the guys that were very successful, and, man, they were all about the burpees. And I would ask them, Tommy, I said, why do you like these burpees so much? I said, no, Steve, we don't like them, we hate them. He goes, they're just very effective. Are you a burpee guy? Do you employ any of that in your training?
Not so much. The other thing about my training is I have problems. I mean, I'm so sore constantly. The motion of going up and down like that, I don't know if I can do it most of my camp. So burpees, I'll do some if I have to, if my coaches say I have to, but I really try and avoid the big up and down motions.
Oh, dude, I got to do too, just because the beatings I put my body through, the burpees, not something that's very user-friendly to some of the injuries that I have. And still, probably, 7 months out from rotator cuff surgery. I was 4 months out when we filmed that show, and I looked like crap. I was mad about that, but it was what it was. Some of those CrossFit people come out there, they're in fantastic shape, but some of that methodology is just not for me. In training for MMA, Sam, you have your coach. Does he dictate exactly what you do, or do you have any say? I mean, because he's going to try to make you as uncomfortable as possible. What does he do to as far as rotation or to keep you from overtraining?
Well, my strength and conditioning coaches, they run that side of things, so they kind of watch the overtraining. And something I didn't know until recently, they were telling me, is that overtraining, it's an actual thing. It's a physical thing. It's not a mental thing. He said your body will actually be over, and so he watches all that with me. But then my actual MMA training, I've got plenty to say with it. I know, if something's hurt, I have to work around it. I talk to my coaches, I talk to my sparring partners or my training partners. And so it's very fluid. Anytime something's hurt, I try and use something else. And my coaches are pretty good with that.
If you're training you train for a living, you fight for a living, How long of the day is geared towards strength and conditioning, and how long is it geared? How long of your day is geared to either rolling, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, striking? How many, and in totality, how many hours are you training a day, Sam?
Depending on the day, I'm between 4 and 8 hours a day of training. The strength and conditioning, I do about 4 hours a week, depending on where I am in the camp. So the guys I work with, Dynamic Fitness, they're fantastic. They've got it down to, they have it a science. Depending if I'm 8 weeks out to 4 days out, they know what I'm supposed to be doing, when I'm supposed to be doing it, and how much of it I'm supposed to be doing. So I really, Brian and Kevin, they're going to be so jealous I'm talking to you. Brian and Kevin from Dynamic Fitness, they organize everything for me as far as the strength and conditioning goes. The MMA training, then I use my jiu-jitsu and boxing, Muay Thai coaches a little more. And they, if my hand's a little sore today, we'll work, the cross instead of the jab, or the this instead of that. So it's such a physical sport. Your training to be perfect for 15 minutes. Outside of that 15 minutes in the octagon, you feel terrible.
Okay, then what are you weighing right now, Sam?
Right now I'm at I fought about 3 weeks ago, I'm about 210, 211.
Okay, let's say you're 210. From a nutritional standpoint, working out as much as you're working out, who's handling the nutrition end of your diet?
George Lockhart is his name.
I know George.
Yeah, he's I call him my nutritionalist. I'm talking to him now about maybe getting him out to my next fight, whenever that might be.
Okay, then to fuel all these workouts, how many calories does he? I'm not talking about stripping down and cutting weight to get ready for the fight, but just to maintain that 210, what are you eating?
Between 2,000 and 2,500 calories a day. Again, it goes on to if I'm having one of my hard days where I'm working out, 6 to 8 hours, as opposed to one of my lighter days where I'm only doing 4 hours.
But that sounds a little bit light for all that activity at 210.
Well, I've always got to lose weight. I mean, and I've got to be able to function. If ever I'm feeling like I need more, he's real cool. He lets me text him to call him whenever, and he'll tell me what else I need to eat. Usually it's like a handful of nuts. Eat that. But because it's not just maintaining. I'm never maintaining weight. I'm either getting bigger or trying to get smaller. So I've always got to be losing weight.
Hey, man, tell me about the cutting weight process, because I've never done it myself. I mean, I did a kind of a minor one for a photo shoot one time, but depending on how heavy you are, how agonizing is that? Because you talk about your trainers, you want to be as uncomfortable as possible, and they're trying to get you ready for a fight. To me, and from some of the stories I've heard, and especially for some people who really have a lot of weight to cut, that sounds agonizing.
Yeah, I always joke, I'll fight for free, but you're going to have to pay me a bunch to cut weight. And that's the truth. It's terrible, especially that final week when you're eating almost nothing. You're eating enough to function. Into that last cut where you're cutting, I try and keep it under 10, but I've had to do 10, a couple times before, and it's terrible. I do the hot bath as opposed to the sauna, if ever I can, and I do 20 minutes at a time. I get in that hot water as hot as I can physically stand. I get into that water, and I just sit there for 20 minutes. And I lose about 2 minutes every 20 minutes, and then I'll go lay on the floor and, say, oh, please just kill me. And then I'll crawl back in, and I'll do that until I'm on weight.
And what do you fight at?
I fight at 185 pounds.
Okay. That whole process, how much does that take out of you heading into the fight the next day?
I don't think it takes anything out of me. The only time I've ever felt depleted was when I was on The Ultimate Fighter, that the UFC asked if I could get to 170. And UFC asks, you say yes. So I found a way to get to 170. And then I felt depleted. Then it was pretty rough. But I'm so used to doing what I do, and I know how my body works. I really feel good into that cage.
Hey, last time you and me were direct messaging each other on Twitter, Dan Henderson was about to go over to England to fight Michael Bisping for the title. And I was trying to get up there to Temecula to talk to you guys. Couldn't make it. Had a bunch of stuff going on. Obviously, the fight has happened, and Michael Bisping retained. But Jesus Christ, I mean, Hendo, like he said in the interview, if you judged, a fighter by how he looks after the fight, then clearly it looked like Hendo won the fight. When you got back, when Hendo came back from the fight, what was y'all's conversation?
He was disappointed. He really was. Everyone said, good fight, good fight. He knows this was a good fight. He earned his keep in that one. But, he was pretty disappointed in himself. And so the rest of us said, listen, you've done more in this sport than Michael Bisping or anyone else could ever wish to do. You've held a title in everything Zuffa that has ever owned except the UFC. And he knows it. He's not taking it too hard. But he was very disappointed in how he felt the fight went and how two of the judges thought the fight went.
Man, I thought the one time, and this is me, a guy from pro wrestling, okay, I thought the one time he hurt Bisping, then tried to put him away, but couldn't. I thought he gassed there, and I thought maybe had he not tried so hard to finish him, but been more patient, maybe that would have been the difference. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes,
this is me being armchair quarterback.
No, I know. Hindsight is absolutely probably should have held off. But in that moment,
yes, sir,
he was one punch away from finishing the fight. If he had landed any of those punches cleanly, Bisping would have. Bisping might still be asleep. And so it's kind of the chance you have to take. It didn't pay off that time. But he really thought it would. All of us thought it would because that's how it went the first time they fought.
When you're watching a fight, and a guy like Hendo, who you're very good friends with, are you going through the punches yourself, almost throwing? And I don't imagine you're sitting still.
Yeah, it's funny. When I fight, I'm relaxed, I'm calm, I am not sweating at all. But when my buddies, my coaches, my friends fight, I'm sitting on pins and needles. I'm watching everything and kind of bobbing and weaving, in my chair, my standing. And it's way more fun watching my friends fight than it is myself fighting.
Hey, did you watch the UFC 205 event?
I did. Well, it was about the greatest event I think I've ever seen.
Gosh, and let's talk about the Conor McGregor Eddie Alvarez fight real quickly. You're the expert. You're the fighter. Your thoughts on that fight?
I thought Alvarez should have won that fight. I thought he had the skill set to do it. And I also thought all Eddie has to do is not circle to Conor's strong hand and try and box him. And as soon as that bell rang, Eddie started circling to Conor's strong side and tried to box him. And it was, I was screaming at the TV, saying, "What are you doing?" And he got blasted. And then he kind of got back up and he started doing the same thing and got blasted again. I love the way Conor runs his mouth. I'm not a big fan of his fighting style. And I wanted Alvarez to win, and he just did everything wrong.
Well, I tell you, Conor looked so much bigger in that fight than
He did. He had the range on Eddie, and all this goes into why he shouldn't be boxing Eddie, or why he shouldn't be trying to box Conor. And he said afterwards it wasn't his game plan. And I know as well as anyone that the best laid plans they go out the window as soon as that bell rings sometimes. But
and looking at that fight, I thought Conor had gotten into his head before the fight.
Maybe. He might have. Conor has gotten so good at doing that. It's the reason Conor beat Jose Aldo. Yeah, he just crushed Aldo mentally before that fight. I can't believe that so many fighters can fall into a trap like that.
Weidman versus Yoel Romero. Both fighters needed this fight, I thought.
Yeah, that was the title eliminator. It was the fight I was most looking forward to on that card. And what a finish! I thought it was a good fight. Round 1 probably went to Weidman. Round 2 probably to Romero, and a surprise flying knee finishes him. It was cool.
Oh man, I follow Chris Weidman on Twitter, and I texted him, good luck, whatever, and then I finished like that, and god dang, when Luke Rockhold took that belt from him, that really crushed him, and I know he's trying to get in his fight, to get in a position to get that title back. with Rockhold being beaten by Bisping. And now, I thought Rockhold kind of was lackadaisical going into that fight. Maybe he didn't take Bisping serious enough, and then pop, and then Bisping is the champion going back several months. What were your thoughts on that fight? Because, Rockhold was sitting in the catbird seat. He was a champion. All of a sudden, now, he's a long way from a title picture.
Yeah, I was actually I cornered some guys on that fight, so I was at that event when Bisping became the champion, and on paper, Rockhold should have won. He had beaten Bisping a year before, and it made it look easy. He had done great things, and he should have won. And all day long, I just had that feeling in my stomach, not my wallet, but my stomach, that Bisping was going to get it. And lo and behold, early in round one, Bisping gets a couple shots off and finishes him. It was surreal to be in that crowd.
I tell you what, it caught me completely off guard, but just from an attitude standpoint, me being an armchair quarterback watching as a fan, I was thinking, man, it just almost seems like he doesn't want to be there. And, Bisping did want to be there and ended up being the champion.
Yeah, I agree. I think Rockhold took him lightly. He said, I've beaten him before. I just cruised through this one, and I'll beat him again. And he shouldn't have. It was Rockhold's bad. Now Rockhold's 2 or 3 fights away from a title again.
He is, and I wish him all the luck in the world. I was down there talking to DC at AKA Gym, I guess last year, and I got a chance to meet Luke. Big fan, and certainly has all the tools. But he's found some success modeling now. So, hey man. That's a great gig. I mean, obviously, I'd like to see him back in the octagon, but I mean, he's got something to fall back on. A good-looking kid with a good body. So we'll see how the modeling plays out for him while he tries to get back into shot at a title. Tate versus Pennington, and boy, I tell you what, Tate loses this one to Pennington, ends up retiring. What were your thoughts on that?
My first thing I thought is, there's no way she's going to stay retired. I think if she doesn't have a kid soon, I think she'll be back in the cage by July. You're not going to retire off a loss like that. It was kind of a one-sided fight, but it wasn't that exciting. You don't want that to be your last fight. So I think she fights again, but she probably wants a kid. She's at that age where she's got to start thinking about it.
But, she's only 30 years old, but she's been around forever because she's never gone away. And she just, man, when she was able to win the championship from Holly Holm, choked her out right there in the last round. And then, gets defeated by Amanda Nunes. Your thoughts on Nunes versus Rousey?
I hope Nunes wins. I just don't think she will. I think she'll do what every other girl except Holly Holm does: blitz right into Rousey and get taken down, then armbarred.
But I would say that Amanda Nunes has pretty damn good hands, like Holly Holm. And it seems like to me, Holly Holm was unspectacular in any of her wins leading up to her fight with Rousey. But once she got in there with Rousey, she looked like a superstar. So maybe, sometimes I think when these dominant champions are beaten, there's kind of the code is broken. Okay, well, here's the recipe, or this is what it's going to take to beat that person. I think it was Holly's boxing skills, and I have deep respect for Ronda Rousey. So you don't think that the hands of Nunes are dangerous to Rousey as long as she maintains distance and doesn't allow her to grasp her and go for that patented armbar?
If she follows a good game plan, I think she'll be fine. She hits hard, but I just don't think she'll follow the game plan. I think the fight will happen, and she'll do what every other girl does, except for Holly Holm. She'll blitz in immediately, try and clinch, and get taken down. I think Holly Holm, she's got so many kickboxing fights, so many fights like that she can maintain that game plan, and she did. She kept that distance. She backtracked. She went forward. She did it according to plan perfectly because she's got so many fights. A lot of the female division, a big record is 10 fights, and that's not that big a record.
Hey, let's talk about the women, the lightweight women. Is that the strawweight?
Yeah.
I can't pronounce her names. Can you?
Joanna Jędrzejczyk?
Yes, from Poland, and
yeah.
Kolkowicz from Poland. Man, the champion, very dangerous. The other, Kowalkiewicz, Didn't seem quite as athletic as the champion, but by the fight's end, clearly the champ had won. But it seems to me like Kolkowitz ended up being the babyface in that match just by the way she would stand so unassuming, with her hands together behind her back between those rounds with just this complete composure on her face. Great sportsmanship by both ladies, and obviously the champ is just phenomenal. But I thought the challenger really made a case for herself, maybe for a rematch, but to me, coming from a pro wrestling world, got over with the fans just due to the fact that she was very composed, very classy, and talented, and beautiful.
Yeah, I think she did too. She made a fan out of me. I like Joanna, and I love to see her as the champ. But I think the other gal, Kolkowitz, that's a hard name to say.
I apologize for botching both.
No, that's all right. You're saying it better than I can. She did impress people. She stayed in there. She even rocked Joanna once or twice in the later rounds. But I do think she lost the fight, and if she wins another one, I wouldn't mind watching a rematch.
Hey, what's next for you, Sam?
I'm hoping to fight soon. I'm keeping myself as light as I can so I can fight on a week's notice if I need to. I like keeping busy. In the last half of 2016, I've been very busy. So I'm just hoping to fight again as soon as I can.
Okay, you're 210 right now. Are you super strict with your diet? Has George Lockhart got you on a program, or hey, as long as you're around the 210 area, you can kind of freelance it?
Starting today, I'm going to be super strict on everything. I fought 4 times in 4 months, and so I haven't had any time to eat anything. I've been dieting for like the last 7 or 8 months. It's been ridiculous. So the last couple of weeks, I've laid off everything. I've eaten junk food and McDonald's and pizza and this and that. And so now starting today, I'm gonna go back to my yogurt and kefir diet.
The yogurt and kefir diet. Sam, it was good talking to you, and I had a blast hanging out with you at the Broken Skull Challenge. It's funny because you get a chance to, I'm impartial out there. I treat everybody the same, but the longer people are able to stay around, and the more time I'm able to spend with them. Then on that Skullbuster, it's a little bit of one-on-one. So it was great hanging out with you and talking to you after the Skullbuster, after those 3 rounds. When I get back to California from Texas after the new year, man, I'd love to shoot over there to Temecula and sit down. If Hendo would do the show, do a 3-way, just sit there and shoot the breeze and talk MMA.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll even sign Hendo up right now. Whenever you can make it in, I'll make sure he's around too.
He's probably, I know he's an avid hunter, as I am. I'm down here in South Texas chasing these whitetails. Is he out hunting, or is he in a gym? What's he doing?
He got back from his hunting trip about 2 weeks ago, and now he's training for a big jiu-jitsu match with John Jones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's coming up. I want to say December 10th or 11th, right somewhere in there. He's got a jiu-jitsu match against Jones at heavyweight.
and what league is that? It's
Chael Sonnen's league. I don't remember the name of it, but it's Chael Sonnen's baby. And so he puts on the super matches, but in jiu-jitsu. And since John Jones is suspended for another 6 months, all he's allowed to do is jiu-jitsu.
Hey, what did you make of that suspension?
I think it was probably too late. I mean, I know he says it was an accident or it was cross-contamination. Yeah, he's a cheater. He's popped as a cheater twice before. He's a cheater. So I wouldn't be. I like watching him fight, but if he's stuck in jiu-jitsu for the rest of his life, it would be fine with me too.
Man, I tell you what, he's a gifted kid. He's a great fighter, and it just keeps running into problems. I thought the suspension was light myself. When you're a UFC fighter or an MMA fighter, you get a Nike sponsor. I mean, come on, man. That opportunities like that don't come around real often, and then to just keep running into harm's way, getting yourself into trouble, man. With that kid with that much talent, that young. And, you can throw it away very quickly. And so, we'll see what happens out here. But hopefully he comes out of this tailspin and gets his act back together, because I hate to see anybody with so much talent waste it.
Yeah, I agree. I hope somebody corrects him, figures him out and rides him hard, because he needs it. He's a fun fighter to watch. I always did like watching him. But outside of the cage, he's got so many problems.
And, dude, I was a hellraiser back in the day, and I got into my fair share of problems. But, it's kind of like, maybe like a Mike Tyson kind of thing. When Cus D'Amato was around, he kept Mike out of trouble. When Cus was gone, Mike started getting into trouble. And Mike and I are actually pretty good friends. I ran into him in Marina Del Rey the other day, and we gave each other a big hug. We worked a big angle back in our wrestling days when he refereed my match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14. So, anyway, I thought the suspension was light. Back in the day, I was a fan, but I'd like to see him get his act together so I could be a fan again.
Yeah, me too. And I hope he does. I hope this light suspension is taken seriously, because I hope he gets his stuff together.
Hey, man, on Twitter, on Instagram, on all that stuff, it's at Smilin' Sam, SMILENSAM, correct?
Yes, sir. That's me on everything.
Well, Smilin' Sam, let's stay in touch, and it was good talking to you. I appreciate you being on the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on the show, sir.
Take care, Sammy.
All right, bye.
All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast and ride off in the sunset. Before I do that, I want to thank Smiling Sam Alvey for joining me here on the show today, talking via Skype from Temecula, California, out here to the Broken Skull Ranch. Sam's a badass UFC fighter, a class act, came out to the Broken Skull Challenge and gave it pure hell. It was great to hang around you and get to know you. I look forward to heading down to Temecula in the next few months and shooting a breeze with you and Dan Henderson if he's willing to be on the podcast. Good talking to you, Sam, and best of luck in your next endeavor. Hey, man, I ain't got no videos to watch, but if you've been setting your DVRs, you need to go back and check out Broken Skull Challenge because it's here every Sunday night at CMT at 10/9 Central. So set your DVRs. And if you ain't watched your DVR, go back and check out the Broken Skull Challenge. This show is going to keep building to an absolutely epic 2-week finish. And again, I want to say thanks to all of the comments that I've gotten from the UK, Scotland, Dublin, Ireland, everywhere over there, all of the countries that get Dave TV, whatever it is, that are watching season 1 of the Broken Skull Challenge. My Twitter account, Steve Austin BSR, has absolutely exploded because y'all finally get the show over there. I've been talking about the show forever, and it's hard because the podcast is worldwide, but the Broken Skull Challenge was seen just only in the United States. Well, now it's available over in those other countries and probably more some that I didn't even mention. And people in Canada are asking me, are they ever going to get a chance to see the show? I don't know the answer to that, but for you people over in the UK, all those areas over there that have been supporting the show and sending me tweets, I see them. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. I love making a show. It's my new job. It's my new calling. So I appreciate all the response that you guys have sent me on my Twitter account. I'm also on Instagram at Steve Austin BSR as well. And all them new shirts that I'm wearing on Broken Skull Challenge from season 1 to season 4, they're available at ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin. We got a Black Friday sale going on right now. Shoot, I don't know how cheap the show. I don't know what the price of the shirts are because I ain't been on the website, but it's a Black Friday sale and you can save a ton of money. Every design is on there and be able to shop for Christmas and score a cheap damn T-shirt that's a badass T-shirt because we got a Black Friday sale going on at ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin and BrokenSkullRanch.com. Hey, if you're looking for the best damn IPA in the United States of America, get the Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing. Stop into the brewery if you're in L.A. at 140 Main Street in El Segundo, California. You can find it at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in California, or you can order it from InsideTheCellar.com if you live in a state that they ship to. Also, you can go to BrokenSkullRanch.com and find the link to InsideTheCellar.com. You can find everything at BrokenSkullRanch.com, in fact, including the Broken Skull Cold Steel Knife. And if you want the best price on the baddest knife on the planet, go to Amazon. It's $75 on Amazon. That's a steal. And use my links when you go. All my Amazon links are at podcast1.com. Click on the Killer Deals button in the top right corner of the page and then hit the Steve Austin Show button. I got Amazon links for Amazon USA, UK, and Canada. If you use my links when you're doing any online shopping, Amazon will kick back a few bucks to the podcast. It does not cost you anything extra. No hidden fees or charges. Buy whatever you're planning on buying and help out the podcast in the process. Bookmark it so you can find it easier. You'll also find links to all the great sponsors of my podcast. I appreciate y'all supporting the sponsors because they're the ones who let me do this for you free twice a week. So big thanks, my buddy, ddpyoga.com/Austin for a limited time. Get 25% off all DDPY swag and merch to DraftKings. Use my promo code Steve to play for free this weekend. To Dollar Shave Club. Sign up at dollarshaveclub.com/Steve and get a 1-month trial of any of their razors for just $1 with free shipping to MeUndies. Go to MeUndies.com/Steve Austin to get 20% off your first purchase and free shipping. Hey, 60-second AP News headlines are coming up next. Until then, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com.
I want to say thank you to Drop Stop, one of the great sponsors of this show. Drop Stop is the original patented seat gap filler, as seen on TV's Shark Tank. Get the original Drop Stop at buydropstop.com and use code STEVE for 2 free gifts and free shipping. Stay tuned for the latest AP News headlines from Podcast One right after this.
You know what? You are unique. You don't walk like everyone else. You don't talk like everyone else for sure. And you certainly don't sleep like everyone else. So why is your mattress one size fits all? Oh wait, money, right? Because a truly customized mattress will cost you $5,000 to $10,000? Well, not anymore. Thanks to Helix Sleep. You see, Helix can do a custom mattress just for you. Go to helixsleep.com, you answer a few simple questions, then they run a 3D biomechanical model of your body through this proprietary algorithm that they developed with the help with the world's leading ergonomics and biomechanics experts. Those are sleep scientists, by the way. The result? Well, you'll see if you do it. You get the most comfortable mattress you've ever slept on. Helix customers reported 30% improvement in overall sleep quality. And for couples, they customize each side of the mattress. So you get your comfy sleep, and they get their comfy sleep. Your mattress arrives at your front door in just about a week, and shipping is completely free. That's why everyone from GQ Magazine to Forbes are all talking about Helix Sleep. And if you don't like it, you can send it back because they give you 100 nights to try it out. They'll pick it up for free at your front door and give you a full refund, no questions asked. Oh, and check this. If you go to helixsleep.com/podcast, you'll get $50 off your first order. That's helixsleep.com/podcast. helixsleep.com/podcast. Save $50 and sleep like a baby.
AP Update. I'm Rita Foley. President-elect Donald Trump is tweeting that he's leaving his business empire to focus on being the nation's 45th president, bowing to pressure to avoid potential conflicts of interest between governing and profiting in the private sector. Trump tweeted this morning, "I will be leaving my great business in total in order to fully focus on running the country, in order to make America great again. While I am not mandated to do this under the law," he tweets, "I feel it is visually important as president to in no way have a conflict of interest with my various businesses." He said legal documents are being crafted which take him completely out of business operations. He adds that the presidency is a far more important task. The tweets this morning from President-elect Donald Trump. AP Update, I'm Rita Foley.